The
Mhm.
great innovation actually of this company was how to skirt regulation, which is something that is has become all too common and almost like just a part of the playbook. It's like a part of how you get grow a big company is how can we grow large enough in order to not have to deal with the laws and regulations that have existed for the previous era of companies. And we're going to talk a little bit about that in our next section about the gig economy, so stay tuned. But right now,
Yep.
I want to discuss, Henry, why you think like, that has become such an acceptable idea in our startup.
Yeah, I felt like in a previous episode, I talked about the wisdom of the crowd
Mhm,
and that I think most people now could definitely say, yeah, sharing scooters probably not so great. And even more, I think if you were to ask people 5, 10 years ago, they would probably say the same thing.
mhm,
The wisdom of the crowd is normally right in the long run, but in the startup culture, we're directed by a very few people who they might be visionaries, they might be geniuses, but really their motivation is concentrating
mhm,
capital, getting the high return on investment, and that's how venture capitalists come in. And if venture capitalists are making these decisions to, create markets and really solve problems, if there's a disconnect between what VCs believe and what they're confident in betting on and what actual consumers and the marketplace want, you're going to have failures like this example. And so I think if you want to solve it, you have to talk to your users, talk to the people, see, is this an actual problem and what trade offs are we, running up against to prevent these kind of horrible disasters of
and
startups?
specifically, I'd say talking to the unheard stakeholders, right? I don't remember ever anyone talking to me about whether or not it was okay for Bird and Lime to come through in the middle of the night and throw a bunch of scooters on the ground. I don't remember it. I don't think my city was informed of this. It's a and I remember our campus, our university banned them because it was so disruptive to the walking infrastructure of and it was, like,
Yeah.
causing traffic because, like, people would have to step into the road. Like, it becomes a safety nightmare, and so it's just a lot of people just were not consulted at all. I wanna color your point about the role of venture capitalists in this because I think it shows a systemic issue of venture capitalists getting to decide what a good idea is instead of the actual market. So when a VC decides because of 5 meetings with a hyped founder that we all have been, right, in a pitch meeting,
And a pitch
yeah, and a
deck.
pitch deck and a dream, like when
Yep.
they get hyped about something, they wield so much power to make that thing come to
Yeah.
life. Because the common way, once founders get money in order to grow your business, is to throw cash at both building out a product and selling that product for less than it costs in order to grow larger, right? Disruption is the undercutting of the competition in ways that people without as much capital do not have access to do because they're running real profitable businesses. But you get to play the game of not having to do that. And so anything can seem popular enough if you give away $2 for $1 and pummel a bunch into Facebook and Google ads in order to convince people that your thing is a good idea. And that both does a disservice to the public, right? And the marketplace over the long period of time, but also the founders, right? Like you as
Yep.
somebody that is trying to grow a, responsible, good, profitable business, it prevents you from getting the worthy and important feedback that is fundamental to our economy of whether or not people see value for the actual cost it takes you to produce the thing.
Yeah. Big problems. I feel like this is sometimes obscured by the idea of we're going to lead the market, or I've already said we're going to create a market. So the customers don't actually know what they want.
Yeah.
If we go back to the
Henry
Henry
Ford,
Ford,
faster horse. Yeah.
yeah, ask people what they want. They don't know what they want. We have to push
hmm
them to accept these innovations. And I feel like that way of thinking often just leads to failure and wasted money and potential harm. And, you know, at this point, just feels like in the scooter example, there was just ignorance in how this was actually going to be executed. And it's not just pushing problems and hoping for the best. It's you say they should have asked more people. I feel like so much of this could just be intuited. Like, you can't just throw, like,
Trash on the ground.
you can't do that. You can't do that. Like, it's just it has to be ignorance. I don't like putting people down.
Mhm.
I like founders. I like the spirit. I think there could be positive intentions at play, but it just seems like a real lack of foresight